What if everything you have been told about the Maya collapse is wrong? For over 1,000 years, the Maya built cities that touched the sky. They built monuments aligned to stars, and were ruled by kings who spoke for the gods. And then, according to history, they simply faded away. But deep in the jungles of Guatemala, archaeologists have uncovered something that refuses to fit that story. Royal artifacts, burned beyond recognition, not by accident. The heat was so intense it warped stone, melted jade, and erased symbols that were never meant to be destroyed. So here is the question historians are now afraid to ask. What if the Maya did not disappear? What if they ended themselves in fire? Imagine pushing through dense vines and centuries of overgrown jungle in northern Guatemala. There, beneath layers of earth and time, researchers unearthed treasures that should have been sacred forever. Charred jade masts, once gleaming emblems of divine kings. Obsidian blades, snapped and blackened. Royal regalia diadems, pendants, mosaic fragments exposed to flames far hotter than any ordinary blaze. These were not scattered by looters or ruined by chance. Scientific dating reveals a chilling pattern. Multiple elite objects, all burn at precisely the same moment. This was not gradual decay. This was a single, catastrophic event. Why would the most powerful people in a civilization deliberately torch their own symbols of eternal rule? For generations, we have been taught the Maya story as one of quiet decline. Great cities like Tikal and Calakmul slowly emptied as drought gripped the land, populations dwindled, and the old ways faded into legend. A peaceful collapse, almost poetic in its inevitability. But look closer at those abandoned palaces and temples. Many bear scars long dismissed or downplayed, walls toppled in violence, monuments defaced. And now, these burned layers thick deposits of ash and soot appear exclusively in royal compounds. Not in the homes of commoners. Not in marketplaces or fields. Only where kings and queens held court. The fire targeted the elite. Was it meant to consume the city, or the throne itself? By the 9th century, the Maya world was cracking under pressure. Prolonged droughts parched reservoirs and withered crops. Famine stalked the lowlands. But drought alone does not explain the chaos. It ignited something deeper. Warfare among the elite. Rebellions from below. Cities fortified themselves not just against outsiders, but from threats already inside the walls. Defensive ditches carved through neighborhoods. Palaces ringed with barricades. When the gods seemed silent and rains refused to fall, how long would people obey kings who still demanded tribute, labor, blood? At the heart of this mystery lie symbols no Maya would ever willingly destroy. Burned murals where flames devour royal insignia, not enemy banners. Ancient texts depicting fire entering tombs, a phrase the Maya themselves recorded. The fire entered his tomb. These were not acts of conquest. They echo ancient termination rituals, deliberate ceremonies to close an era, to kill the spirit residing in objects and places. But here, the destruction feels different, too calculated, too complete. What if the fire was not vengeance from without, but a choice from within? Fire was sacred to the Maya. They used it to dedicate new temples, to end old cycles, to send offerings skyward. Ritual blazes cleansed and renewed. Yet these burns crossed a line too ferocious for ceremony, too precise for mere rage. Royal items arranged and ignited in sequence. Bones of long-dead rulers exhumed, adorned once more, then consigned to flames. Not chaos, a performance. Who orchestrates a ritual meant to bury an entire age? Picture the scene. Archaeologists use modern techniques to recreate that night. A massive pyre, roaring in a public plaza. Flames leaping high enough to paint the jungle orange for miles. The crackle and roar echoing across the sleeping city. This was not hidden in shame. It was spectacle. A message burned into the sky for every subject, every rival, every god to see. Who was the audience for such terrifying theater? If the Maya could choose fire to end their kings, what does it mean for every civilization we thought simply crumbled? Perhaps some do not fall. They walk away. Intentionally. We see echoes elsewhere. Dynasties richly erased, old orders torched to clear space for the new. Not victims of fate, but agents of their own reinvention. How many collapses in history were actually quiet revolutions, acts of defiance against a world no longer worth sustaining? Today, excavators still sift through new sites in Guatemala. More burned layers emerge. Undeciphered symbols, deliberately blackened as if to hide a final secret. The Maya may have burned their past not just to end it, but to control what we would remember. To force the future to start from ash. If they willingly set fire to their world, what nightmare were they desperate to prevent from rising next? The jungle keeps its secrets, but the smoke still lingers.